exactly the same.
Oh, excuse me, good morning.
Tired from all our travels. Oh, back here in this familiar setting. Well, it was funny getting into Leeds and Bradford Airport yesterday, because by contrast to Amsterdam, we'd not but gone through check-in, whatever you call it, arrivals.
Departures.
The external door were over the corner.
Yeah.
No messing about there, you just straight out into the street.
Yeah.
Whereas Amsterdam.
And straight round to a little kiosk where we ordered a taxi, and taxi driver was stood there.
Aye, they were all waiting.
Yeah.
For the next victim.
Yeah.
Well, so, do you people really enjoy doing that? Going abroad on an aeroplane? I find it rather curious, I really do, because, well, you feel like cattle. You're being herded from one place to another.
Yeah.
And stripped down and questioned. They even wanted to know
what I had in my trouser pocket. I said, I haven't got all. He took a lost of me back. Can I see? She says.
She wanted to see.
So I had to show it top.
And he said to me, what you got in your pockets? I said, oh, I've got an hanky in this pocket. He said, what about your other pocket? So I pulled out all these receipts. And he says, what are they? I says, the receipts. He says, where from? I says, well, everywhere we've been. He says, what? You mean you've collected all the receipts from where you've been? I says, yeah. He said, why have you done that? I said, I've no idea. I just
It's
do.
what he does.
He says, and what?
Why have you got so many?
Why is there so many? I said, well, because we've been touring and been around different places. He says, why didn't you just stay in one place, in one hotel? I says, because we were touring, we went around different places. He says, why did you do that? He were asking me why I was doing everything. And I told him about when in 1968 we got married and Pat came out to live with me in Germany in this little town called Hermannsburg. And we've never been back. So Pat came out in 68, in 69 a man died, so we had to go back to England and we never went back. And we've never been back since. And as I was telling him this story, he just started smiling and put his hand on my shoulder and he says, all right, off you go.
Crazy old folk.
Of course,
Oh dear.
this story would have to be true, you know. Whether he thought, hey, somebody's using a doddering old couple to try and smuggle Colt 45s into the country, so I don't know.
No. They even got a tester thing out to test my shoes.
One of Pat's shoes.
In case.
He scanned it with this thing and then put this thing in the machine to make sure it didn't have cocaine in it.
Yeah.
So
Funny.
I just found it all very stressful. Nothing was clear.
No.
We didn't know. We hadn't a clue where to go in the airport in Amsterdam.
The Amsterdam airport were very... I mean, even though we'd been there before and found where things needed to be, we still wanting...
I mean, we
place.
found KLM. where they operate from in the airport. But that wasn't good enough, because in the end I had to ask a lady where we want to be. I think it was, what did it do for D? D or something.
D6 in departures.
Well, it started off at somewhat between 1 and 16. Then it changed to D. And this lady says, you've got to go up those steps over there. So we head towards the steps and come to a glass. It was surrounded by a glass fence. So you couldn't get to these steps, except you had to go through a barrier. Well, this barrier was somewhat completely new to us. And we were watching people going through. And of course, it was your phone, you know, you've got to show. This thing, I had it in my hand all the time. And when you've got a case, 2 cases to carry and this phone, and you're constantly having to show it to people. And I had to scan this. Well, it let me through, it won't let back through. And I'm trying to scan it from my side. And this chap says, you have to give it to her to do it herself.
Oh, God.
Well, Pat, once she gets hold of a phone, anything can happen.
I can delete stuff without knowing I'm deleting it.
She's a killer with phones. Anyway, this barrier let her through. And where we went after that, I don't know how many processes. We were processed to death.
We were.
And I can't believe that's if that's normal. Everybody puts up with all that to go abroad.
Yeah. I think it made it worse because we didn't know the language, or we couldn't understand what we were reading in some of it. But as soon as we got to England and it were all in English, we just floated through, didn't we? And getting taxi.
Yeah, we just knew what to do, didn't we? We were just like lambs, lost sheep.
Yeah.
For the whole 10 days. I mean, when we were sat in the departure lounge in Amsterdam, the lady said to us, "Do you need assistance?" So we must have looked a pathetic sight, really. It must have been so all the way around Germany and Amsterdam.
Well, I mean, we'd been up early, hadn't we? We hadn't had any breakfast, and we'd sort of walked quite a way through airport again, and we were just ready for a sit down, weren't we?
Yeah.
And we did have a nice little tub of fruit. Each, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
And some coffee.
Two tubs of fruit and 2 coffees. I think that was 20 odd euros, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the taxi from there, from the airport in Amsterdam, was €35.
35 euros for 2.5 miles.
2.5 miles.
I said to the taxi driver in England there, it was 24 euros to get to Rodley, which must be
£24.
24 pounds.
Yeah.
Must be how far?
I said, didn't he?
He said we could trek you 16 miles for that. 35 pounds. It would take you 16 miles.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'll tell you what I noticed about Germany though, what quite surprised me, was that in the 60s, one of the things that always amazed me was the difference between a guest house and a pub. You know, an English pub and a German guest house. There weren't pubs, the guest houses in Germany in the 60s. There were places where people took the families. Lots of groups of people used to sit and eat in them. During the day. And they were always open during the day. And people used to have breakfast in them. I know that. And that was a major difference, because obviously in England, your pubs open for an hour or two at lunchtime, and then opened again at 5 or 6 o'clock.
Well, it was the other way around, wasn't it? I mean, in England, they hardly open during the day.
No, they didn't. Well, as I say, some pubs had opened from 11 till 1, something like that.
Yeah.
But in Germany, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that in the intervening 60 years. All the guest houses were closed.
Reversed itself, really, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Because I said
Because in England they're open during the day
yeah,
now.
if you go during the day, you can usually get a meal in most places. Or, you know.
Some people stop serving at 2.
Yeah.
But they still serve booze and that. Yeah, that's one of the major changes I found with Germany.
And we didn't think that the people in Germany spoke as much English as they did when we were there.
No, they did. They used to speak
younger.
more English when we were there in the 60s.
Yeah. Although the Dutch seem to...
All the Dutch. All speak English to the Dutch. Yeah.
We had our last meal in this beautiful hotel where this glass conservatory.
I showed them it last night.
Yeah.
I did film it in there.
Right, and the young girl who served us, she was Latvian. And she spoke very good English, didn't she?
Yeah, she did, yeah.
Yeah, she'd only been there 3 months.
Holland, yeah.
In Holland.
Yeah.
It was very nice. But that were, compared to the hotel at the Best Western, that little hotel, there were 4 girls on in that place, waitressing, and a man, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And at the other place, it was just one man. And
the reason we walked when we were in the Best Western, I mean, those staff there were friendly enough.
Yeah.
And he told us where the pub and the dining hall were. So we walked through there and they just ignored us. Stood at bar waiting and they just totally ignored us. So we walked out. I said, oh, we'll go somewhere else. And
so we went back to other side where Best Western was. We had a drink in there.
Yeah.
But we waited quite a bit to be served there as well.
Well, because they were having to do
more than one
job. They were having to look after people coming in and going out. Booking in and booking out of the hotel as well as looking after the bar. And it takes a long time to process somebody coming in and going out.
Yeah.
So you waiting anyway. We decided to suss out this other place. We didn't realise this restaurant was in a hotel. We thought it was a separate...
An outside place somewhere. But we went looking and we couldn't find it.
I come to the conclusion in the end. I said, I reckon it's in this hotel. And it was. And it was in a beautiful hotel. It was right opposite our hotel. It was
a lot more money.
A lot more money to stay in there, like. And the food was expensive. But we decided last night, that were it. We were going to treat us into something real nice.
Oh, and it was.
And it was. I've never had food like that.
You'll see, that's
I felt as though, all these programmes you see on television about these chefs preparing these gorgeous nouvelle cuisine meals, Well, I just felt as though I'd experienced that for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
And it was.
But it wasn't a real small portion, it was acceptable.
You didn't leave out.
No.
You didn't want overfilled. It were all quality rather than quantity.
Although my pie were quite big.
Well, it was. You had a bigger meal really than I did.
You still ate it all.
Yeah. Yeah. But my overall, when I worked in France in the 80s, I worked for 6 months in France, and then I lived in Germany. I was there from 66 to 70, 4 years in Germany and 6 months in France. And I got, being over there again this time, I got that same feeling again of being, I can't explain it.
Overwhelmed.
Well, No, I mean, when I were in France, I hardly spoke to anyone. I had a little flat above the piano shop where I worked.
Eventually.
And I used to go to the supermarket and get food and look at the till and see how much it was and give the woman the money. I never spoke at all. And I never knew what was going on. I was always at the mercy of other people who were organising me. And always in the dark about everything. Not knowing what the local customs are and whether you're... I mean, we did some ridiculous things without even knowing it, you know. And that's what you do. You find yourself constantly in this lost situation. Yeah, I found it same again over there. I mean, maybe... Well, no, I was younger then, in the 80s. It still rattled me. I still didn't like it. And I'm all older now and I still didn't like it. So it's not to do with age. Because I felt it when I was younger.
You didn't like being away from home, did you, really?
Well, I don't like going to the same places all the time.
No.
I'm not a home bird in that sense that a lot of people that like to do the same thing, always
Every
be
year.
secure.
Yeah.
I don't mind putting myself in insecure situations, but when you're abroad for any length of time, it's constant, isn't it? Day and night, it's all the time. I mean, like for instance, we went to one hotel, and when I eventually got into the room, because I couldn't get into the room at the card, I just couldn't make it.
Oh dear.
Couldn't operate the door.
With cards. He has trouble.
All the time I had trouble with these electronic keys. I couldn't get them to open the door. And then on this one place, there was no electricity in the room. I don't know what's going on here. So I had to go back, and once again, this doddering old idiot's back again. What's wrong this time? And I said, I am sorry. I said, there's no electric in our room. And she says there's this slot that you put your key in. There's this card in. It turns the electric on. Well, when I told Tracy last night, she knew all about that. She said, well, that's old-fashioned, that.
It's been doing it for years.
That's old-fashioned, is that?
Even here in England.
And I knew nothing about that. I suppose we've lived such a secluded... I mean, we haven't had a passport all of married life. We've only just got a passport. I suppose our life has just been so on the edge of the world. We've really lived on the edge of civilization, really. Yeah. Not really participated. Just on the fringes all the time. And it just shows when you go do something like that.
Yeah.
Because everybody else knows what to do and you're just totally lost. We were. Yeah. And I just found 10 days of being
totally
bewildered for 10 days. Yeah.
Yeah. So, one of the hotels we went in, there'd been a chap in there and they were English. And the lady who owned the guest house said that he comes every year. Because he said, see you next year. I'll be well. Yeah. And we said, how long has he been coming? She said, about 7 years.
7 years. Comes back to the same place.
There's some kind of a thing goes on.
It was work related. Yeah. He was working for a company. And every year they did something out there. And that's what he did. He came to that same hotel. Probably stayed in the same room, probably sat on the same seat at the same table. I bet your life he did.
Yeah. 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 He did, I'm sure.
So there you are. So that's our 10 days abroad. And I thought, before we set off, will it will it encourage me to want to go abroad more from now on? Will it change the way we do things? You know, the way we... Because, I mean, I don't do anything for long. We're not called life on the run for no. We're always... After a certain length of time, I get fed up of things and want to change, go in a new direction. That will happen. There's no doubt about that. Unless the ultimate change comes before.
Meaning is no longer with us.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought maybe that'd instigate a change in going abroad, but as of now, I won't fancy going abroad with the camper and doing this. I mean, you'd be in your own bubble in the camper. You wouldn't have to be rubbing shoulders with the rest of the world quite so much. In your own space.
And you could eat in there, couldn't you?
But I'll tell you something.
Oh, we spent a load of money. A load.
Well, I'll come to that. I'll come to that in a minute. But I'll tell you something. All the time we were seeing these little signs at the side of the roads for motorhomes, I couldn't believe that they'd be asking there'd be signposts for motorhomes down these little roads we were on, because they were just these narrow cobbled roads that you were. I mean, I were having to dodge pull in as when other cars were coming other way. So, God, I don't fancy going down these roads in Holland with a motorhome because we were having to be careful with car. So I don't know how you carry on there, but I will say one thing for Holland: they don't have trimmed the trees back really high up and all. I mean, when we were on a bus in Leeds, we were upstairs recently.
Oh yeah.
The branches they must be scratched to death, our buses. But in Holland, they take them off really high up. So any lorries or large vehicles don't get touched by it.
They seem to have low buses anyway, not like our double-decker.
No, not many double-deckers really. But lorries, everything was so neat. So it wasn't real. Like in Holland, it was like a model town. You didn't feel as though it were all real. Couldn't believe it. How the mortar in between the bricks, as though it had been painted meticulously on.
Yeah, it was the same width all the way along the brick.
Perfect edges. All around every brick.
Yeah, don't know whether they had a special thing.
And all the door frames, window frames. It just looked like something you'd build out of a model. And, in a little model village. Just incredible.
Well.
But the cost was astronomical.
Much more than we anticipated.
I must have been out of my head planning that trip. Totally out of my head, because totally miscalculated the cost of that thing.
I mean, our hotels were more expensive than you thought. You were thinking about 60 a night.
If we'd have been here before we set off and booked all the hotels in advance, I'd have got it tons cheaper. I would. But I didn't want to do that, because I didn't want to plan it. I wanted to, when we went into Germany, we come round south like that. And when we went back to Holland, we went round the north. So I didn't want to go back the same way even. So I don't like knowing what I'm doing. So we did it the most expensive way as well.
And we're the same on walks. We really, if we go for a walk, we don't want to turn around and come back same way. If we can.
Always
if we can do it.
Try and find another way back.
Different.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah. Anyway, it's 24 minutes. We better stop this video. So that's us. That's our 10 days.
Yeah.
Um,
And we came back to her.
the innocents abroad.
Came back to her sparkling white house.
She
She painted all.
No, last time we come back, she'd dumped bathroom. This time we've come back and hallway, staircase, upstairs and down, all been painted white.
Mm. Said it took her hours. Days.
Well, she said she only started it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It only took her 2 days. Well, that job would have taken me longer than 2 days.
Yeah.
I actually did it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
We'll see you tomorrow. All being well, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.